Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shameless, Pensacola real estate expert, bringing you today's episode. It's Thursday, May 24th, 2018, episode 90-something. I think we're 93. Going to do a shameless plug here at the beginning of this episode because it's my podcast, which means I can do that. If you've listened to the podcast at all, especially earlier in the year, you know that one of my hobbies that I enjoy doing is acting. I have a blast doing it, getting on set, working around television. I've done a couple of short films that have won some awards. I actually wrote and produced those. And been on a couple of local shows. But today I actually get my national television debut. We shot this show in January up in Knoxville. And if you actually do see the show, you'll feel sorry for one of the talent, the actress, because the show was supposed to be taking place in May, June in South Georgia, so they had to put her in shorts, and she's supposed to be coming from a pool party, and then we're shooting at night, and she's in shorts, a bikini top, and a pullover, and it's about 25 degrees outside, and I know they had to get a drone shot too, so they pulled a drone right above us, and it was throwing down, helicopter force winds. So it was cold. Anyways, we're not going to talk about that the whole time, but I am going to do a shameless plug. If you are around this evening after listening to this and you flip over to Investigative Discovery, you will see that I'm not the Pensacola real estate expert tonight on that channel. Instead, I am the not so nice guy, meaning that I play the killer. It was fun, great cast, great crew. I had a blast. But that's not what we're going to talk about. That was just a shameless plug because, again, my podcast, if I can do that. What I'm going to talk about today is I ran across something this past weekend, and I didn't get it. I don't get it. I know that we are a DIY society. Everybody's do-it-yourself right now. But with this market, I don't get the rationale of trying to do a for sale by owner. I've seen a little bit of I've seen more than one property. Now, I'm not going to call it a trend, but I've seen more than one property that had, listed realtors welcome, but it was for sale by owner. And so I would call to ask the questions, hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm not going to pay you a fee, but I will pay you, I won't pay you your normal fee, but I will pay you a reduced fee to sell the property. But I'm not listing it with anybody else. And then when I look, the reduced fee was normally 3%. So that means you're paying half the fee to begin with. So for another 3%, you get full marketing services. For another 3%, you get full brokerage protection services. And what I mean by brokerage protection services, if you listen back about 10 or 15 episodes, I was telling you about a listing that I had that right after Hurricane Ivan in 2005, he built had an addition built, about 400 square foot. When he paid the guy, it was a contractor that I guess was out of town, paid the guy said he pulled a permit. He never followed up on that. Permit was never pulled for the property. We go to sell the property now. You sign a disclosure saying that everything's good. If we had not researched that, if that property had sold, and let's say 5 years from now, that house burns down, one of the first things the insurance company is going to do is find out that addition was not permitted, it was not disclosed that it wasn't permitted, and more than likely deny the claim. Now that seller who thought he was fine could wind up in court. Now I know some people are saying, well, yes, Shane, that's a rare case, but I haven't built any additions and I want to save the extra 2-3%. statistically, and I'm going to put in the show notes, statistically, for sale by owners sell 6 to 10% lower. When you put something up for sale by owner, you attract a particular type buyer. They're one that knows you're trying to cut corners. They know that you're trying to save a little bit on the commission, so they wind up offering you even lower. Or, let's say, for instance, terms. If you're not familiar with the terms, I asked this one for sale by owner the other day. I said, hey, I need your, have you got your seller's disclosures and your airport disclosures? He goes, well, I have a seller's disclosures. What's an airport disclosure? And I just kind of went, well, okay, you could, if you're right here off the back gate of the Naval Air Station or close to the airport, Pensacola Regional or Pensacola International or whatever they're calling it nowadays, you got to have an airport disclosure. There was a lawsuit that happened many, many moons ago. Somebody bought something right off the back gate of the Naval Air Station and then went back and sued the seller because they didn't tell them that airplanes were going to fly over. It's the home of naval aviation, so I think it was a frivolous lawsuit to begin with, but he won. He won. So what did we do? We come up with this airport disclosure. But if you don't know about that, then, well, you could wind up paying quite a bit more than the 2 or 3% you're trying to save. On top of that, this owner was trying to deal with the tenant because it was rent. I get why some people try and do it because they don't feel like there's any funds to pay for somebody to do this. I get that. It's no different than, wanting to just come home and work out at the house instead of paying a coach or a trainer to help you work out at the house. It's no different than, watching YouTube videos to learn how to do something instead of actually working with a professional. I get that some people feel like they can't do that. But more times than not, it winds up costing them more money than it saved them. So I told a guy yesterday, I actually sent the guy an email that I had showed his property as a for sale by owner. And I sent him an email. I said, that particular buyer wasn't interested, but you're listed too low. And you're not gaining the marketing that you could. What you would save, it's saving him $4,000. It's saving him $4,000 to not list with somebody. I know that I can get him $4,000 more than probably what he's even asking. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. I just know it because I know the area, I know the marketing, I know who's there. But you're also taking out all the buyers, but almost all the buyers use an agent. I mean, that's up in the 89-90% of buyers use an agent now, right? And a lot of them won't even work with the for sale by owner, the buyer's agent, because it becomes a conflict. I've seen some brokerages, have policies in place to where we don't want to deal with that because it can cause a conflict of interest. I know how to, so I don't. But why would you take out 90% of the buying pool? It doesn't make sense. Your marketing's not making sense. And it's not that you can't figure it out. Yeah, sure, you could. You could spend years studying this. But for $4,000, especially if I could get you the extra $4,000, I don't get it. Like I said at the beginning, I know that we're a DIY society. We want to do it all yourself. You just watch YouTube. And my daughter's side mirror needs to be replaced. And yes, I found about 4 YouTube videos on how to do it and went, no, not me. I will take this to someone to get done because I know if I do it, that thing will probably be bouncing as she goes down the road. It doesn't make sense. It's just going to wind up costing you more in the long run. So consider that. I want you to consider the possibilities that the money you're saving is actually the money you're spending. So think about all the stuff that you have to do to sell a property. And I've got, I'm going to put a link to that blog post that I wrote, 5 reasons why you hire a real estate agent. I'm going to put a link to that in today's show as well. But there's 122 aspects of a listing that have to be managed every time you come on the market. If you don't manage all of them, something could slip up. And if you don't know, excuse me, you can ask the questions. But I say this over and over and over again. If you don't know what you don't know the right questions to ask. Let that sink in for a second. I don't know what I don't know. So I don't know the questions to ask. He didn't know, my client had no idea there was an airport disclosure even necessary. Or that for sale by owner, not my client. I sent him, hopefully he'll become my client, but because I sent him some stuff going, dude, you really. The one guy that we sold the property on that didn't have the permit, he had no idea, A, that there was no permit, B, that, how to fix it. I got another client that there was a lien against their property. Well, the property was homesteaded. You don't even know until you pull a title search. So imagine going in contract with a for sale by owner, a title search comes back and there's a $150,000 lien on the property and you're selling it for $200,000, but oh, by the way, you owe the mortgage company $125,000. You're just gonna come up with the extra $75,000? So instead of making $70,000, now you gotta come up with $75,000. Or there's other ways to fix it. Anyways, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that does not make sense to me today. In today's market, there's really no reason for sale by owner. There's just not. The only for sale by owners are people that really are not for sale by owners. They actually are agents, like when I sell some of my own properties that I buy and sell. Okay, well, that's because I do this for a living. So, all right, that's all I got for you today. As always, if you're not subscribed to get the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics, get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com. That's 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, if you hadn't subscribed to the podcast, we're on iTunes, Google Play. Looks like Spotify got up. So I think we got, I was looking at that yesterday. I think we finally got everything on Spotify. SoundCloud's having a little bit of trouble. We're going to find out what the technical difficulties are there. We're going to get on there. No, I take that back. All our episodes are loaded up on Spotify, but Spotify has just been flooded with podcasts, so they told us that we probably won't go live until next month. So we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Anyways, get over to your player of choice. Search us up. Right now I know iTunes and Google Play. I know those are working. Hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Would love a nice comment. And finally, I never charge anything for these things, although it does cost me money to produce these. But I never ask you for a payment on them. Instead, I ask if you found any value in this or any other episode. Make sure you share it on social media. Like I said, shameless plug. It is Thursday, May 24th, 8 Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you happen to be around home, click over to the Investigative Discovery. I'm not the nice guy. Have a great Thursday.